This story was nearly lost until someone whispered it to the flames. Pull up a log, take a seat, let the dark settle in. Because once the fire starts speaking, it doesn't stop. Some say the stories it remembers are just legends. Others say they happen exactly this way. But you'll have to decide for yourself. Welcome to Campfire Invocations. Some names were never meant to be spoken. I promised him my voice. It started as a joke. Isn't that how all bad stories start? I was 19, drunk, high, crashing at a friend's house with a few others after a Halloween party. We found a book in his grandma's attic. Leather-bound, dusty, tied with string. The title was burned into the cover in Latin, Domini Tenebrae, the Lord of Shadows. Of course, we opened it. Inside were rituals, real-looking ones. No cartoon pentagrams, no silly rhymes. These were written like legal documents, cold, precise, and terrifying. The one that caught our attention was short, simple, the vow of silence. It claimed that if you swore to give up your voice to the Shadow Lord for one night, he would grant you anything in return, just one wish. We dared each other, and because I was loud and reckless and stupid, I said I'd do it. I laughed the whole time, even as I read the words aloud and pricked my finger to sign my name in blood. I, Daniel Thorne, thou silence till first light. My voice is yours, my soul remains mine. And just like that, I couldn't speak. Not couldn't, not even a whisper. My throat worked, but no sound came out. Panic set and fast. The others freaked out. They tried to undo it. I wrote on a napkin, I can't talk, and pointed at the book. But the ritual page was gone, torn clean from the binding. That night was the longest of my life. Shadows moved in corners that shouldn't have had any. I saw something standing at the edge of the backyard. Long arms, stretched face, and no mouth. It stared until the sky began to brighten. Then it vanished. When morning came, my voice returned. No scars, no pain. Just back. I never made a wish. I didn't want anything. I didn't believe it was real. I should have, because a year later, it came back. In the shower, I opened my mouth to hum, and nothing came out. Not a sound. That night, I dreamed of him again. The shadow with no mouth. This time he held the contract. A new line had been added. 1 night per year. Until the wish is made. I never asked for anything, but the vow was sealed. So every year, on the anniversary, my voice disappears. He visits. He watches, waiting for me to speak the wish aloud. If I ever do, the contract ends. But I know the truth now. It's not about granting the wish. It's about seeing what I'll trade for it. The thing my sister bound herself to when I was 16. My older sister, Marley, vanished for 3 days. No warning, no note, no social media. Just gone. My parents were wrecked. Police were involved. But on the 4th morning, she came back, standing barefoot on the front porch, wearing the same clothes she disappeared in. Her hands were covered in black wax. Her eyes looked older. She didn't explain, just said she was fine. But I knew something had changed. She became distant, quiet, spent hours in her room with the door locked. She stopped eating meat, stopped sleeping. Her friends stopped talking to her. One even told me she had something evil around her. Then the animals started dying. It began with our cat, perfectly healthy, then dead overnight. No wounds, just wide eyes and blood on its paws like it had been trying to claw away from something. Next was a squirrel on the porch, then a raccoon in the attic, then a deer in our backyard with its legs bent the wrong way. Marley never said a word, until I found her journal. It was filled with symbols, none I recognized. Pages and pages of ink drawings, like circles within circles, teeth, hands with no wrists, a face that had no features but eyes everywhere. One entry was dated 3 days before she vanished. Tonight I called to him, the one without chains. The next page was burned through the center. The last entry was chilling. He said yes. I confronted her. She stared at me like I was someone else, like I was temporary. She said she wasn't in danger. She said she'd been chosen. That the thing she spoke to, whatever it was, had picked her. That it wanted her to carry something, a name, a message. I asked her what kind of message. She didn't answer. Her mouth moved, but it wasn't hers anymore. The voice that came out was deeper, layered. It echoed even though the room was silent. It said, she will walk for me, until her bones rot and her tongue burns away. This is the price for power. I ran. We never spoke again. A year later, she went missing again, for good this time. Left everything behind. Clothes, wallet. Her phone was found at the edge of a dry lake bed 3 towns over. A week after she vanished, I had a dream. She was standing at the edge of that lake bed, barefoot again, whispering the same phrase over and over. It can't break the pact if you become the vessel. I don't know what she brought back with her. but I think it's still looking for someone else, and I think it's watching me now. He promised to make me beautiful. I was 15 the first time someone called me unremarkable. It wasn't cruel. It was just honest. I wasn't ugly, but I wasn't anything else either. People never noticed me, never remembered my name. I started to believe I was a shadow in my own life. So I went looking for something that would make me shine. That's how I found the Candlelight Forum. It wasn't on the regular internet. A friend from art class, a strange girl with half-burned sketchbooks, sent me the link. The whole site was black, with gold text and no back button. Every post was about summoning things, making pacts, spiritual craftsmanship. Most of it was obvious LARPing. But one post stuck with me. How to become beautiful, truly. It claimed beauty wasn't just appearance. It was attention. Gravity. The ability to pull people in. And there was a spirit or a demon, depending on who you asked, called Velenov, who could grant that gift. No blood sacrifice required, just a promise. All I had to do was offer one thing I didn't think I needed anymore. So I offered my reflection. The ritual was simple. Stare into a black mirror by candlelight and say his name 5 times while applying something you used to hate about yourself. I used the lipstick my mother gave me before she died. I always thought it was too red, too loud. But that night, it looked perfect. The moment I finished the chant, I felt it. A jolt under my skin, my spine cracked like a whip. The air shimmered and my mirror image blinked, out of sync with me. Then it smiled, not me. Just the reflection. After that, things changed. People started noticing me, complimenting me. Teachers remembered my name. Boys who never looked my way suddenly sat near me, laughed at my jokes. I got invited to things. Strangers stared. It was like I gave off a glow, but something was wrong with mirrors. I'd catch glimpses of my reflection moving a second too slow, or smiling when I wasn't. Once, I watched it blink, and a second set of eyelids closed from side to side like a lizard. I stopped looking in mirrors altogether, until the day it stepped out. It happened in the school bathroom. The lights flickered. My reflection leaned forward, and then it wasn't behind the glass anymore. It stood beside me, still smiling. It whispered in my ear, "You broke your promise. You said you didn't need me. So why are you trying to see me now?" Then it disappeared. But I know it's still here. Sometimes I see it in the corners of photos I don't remember taking. Sometimes I wake up with red lipstick smeared on my lips. Sometimes people say I did things I swear I didn't do, cruel things, manipulative things. Maybe I did, or maybe she did, because I traded my reflection, and now something else is wearing it. We only needed one more name. We called ourselves the Night Bell 4. It sounds like some dumb band name, I know. But back in high school, we were just 4 kids obsessed with magic, ghosts, and scaring ourselves stupid. We'd do late-night graveyard rituals, Ouija board challenges, even homemade seances. Nothing ever worked until we found the name book. That's what we called it. We found it in the woods behind our town's burned-down church, inside a rusted lockbox buried under a bell. It wasn't a real book, just loose pages bound with black ribbon, but the ink was still fresh, still wet. And every page had the same thing, a circle, a name, and a word crossed out beneath it. We thought it was a joke, some weird art project. But on the back of the last page, there were instructions written in a different hand. Write the 5th name, light the wax, say the vow. 1 wish shared. There were already 4 names in the book. We figured, why not? We added ours underneath, one by one. Me, Juno, Cam, Wyatt. We melted wax into the spine, whispered the vow like the page said, and laughed like idiots. But then things changed. We all got what we wanted. Wyatt's abusive stepdad dropped dead of a heart attack 2 days later. Cam's mom got the transplant she needed. Juno got the art scholarship she'd dreamed about for years. Me, I stopped having seizures like they just turned off. But the book asked for something else. After a week, the pages turned again. A new instruction appeared, 1 more name. Then it ends. We didn't know what that meant. We argued. Juno wanted to offer her ex. Cam refused to pick anyone. Wyatt said we had to pick someone, that the magic wouldn't end until it got its 5th name. We stopped talking after that. 2 weeks later, Cam vanished. We found the book in his room. His name was crossed out now, in red, and beneath it was a word that hadn't been there before, taken. That's when I realized the truth. We weren't the Night Bell 4. We were the first 4. And the ritual had always needed 5. I tried to burn the book. It didn't catch. I buried it. It came back. I threw it in a river. It was in my mailbox the next morning. Now I'm writing this because I can feel it watching. The name book is open on my desk. My name is still there. Not crossed out. Not yet. But there's an empty line beneath it. And if I don't find someone to fill it, I know what word it'll write under mine. Taken. I only needed him once. I don't believe in long-term deals. Not with people. Not with spirits. Not with anything that asks for blood up front. But sometimes, you don't need a lifetime pact. You just need one moment, one yes, one miracle. My daughter was dying. Doctors gave her a month, maybe 2. Rare autoimmune disease, incurable, rapid, cruel. She was 12 years old and weighed less than the average 3rd grader. Every breath sounded like a goodbye. That's when I found the story. It wasn't even a full post, just a comment thread buried deep on a hospice forum for grieving parents. Someone wrote, if you really want to save them, ask for the man under the floorboards. I asked questions. Got nothing but deleted accounts and dead links. But a week later, a letter came to my house. No return address. Inside was a single sentence written in charcoal. One night, one knock, one request, one price. I didn't tell anyone. I followed the instructions. I lit the candle. Drew the chalk sigil under my daughter's bed. Waited until 3:33 a.m. and I knocked on the floor 3 times. The sound that came back wasn't a knock. It was a whisper from under the bed, under the house, under the world. It asked what I wanted. I said, my daughter, healthy, alive. It asked what I'd give. I said, anything. And the whisper said, you already have. I woke up the next morning, slumped against the bedroom door, sunlight pouring in. And my daughter? She was fine. No fever, no pain, no shadows under her eyes. Her skin was warm, pink, breathing easy. She laughed like she hadn't in years. The doctors called it a spontaneous remission, a miracle. But I know better. That night, I heard creaking under the bed. Like someone crawling beneath the house, I peeked under. There was nothing, except the floorboards looked darker now, wetter, like something was waiting. A week passed, then 2. My daughter kept improving. Then one night, she had a dream. She told me about it over breakfast. There was a man with no face, she said. He lived under the floor. He told me he helped you. But now he wants to play hide and seek. That night, I nailed her bed to the floor, covered the sigil, sprinkled salt, lit a dozen candles, slept outside her door with a knife in my hand. But the creaking came anyway. And now I don't hear it under her room. I hear it under mine. I only asked for one miracle. One time. But the man under the floorboards, he doesn't make loans, he collects. And I think tonight, he's ready. They thought they could break the pact, run from the vow, burn the contract. But the fire remembers every name whispered in desperation, and every promise sealed in blood. If the flame spoke to you tonight, leave a comment. Let the fire know you were here by liking the video. And if you want to hear what the flames remember next, click the video on the screen. Subscribe to take your place by the flames before the fire fades.